And away we
I
go.
did have a teacher say to me, "Do you feel like you need to go to therapy?" And that was really foreign to me. I was because honestly, I was also taught that I was really weak, right? You're weak, you're a wimp, you're I can't even say all the words I was told. So there was a part of me that thought, "Oh, I'm not going to go to therapy. No, I'm fine," right? The truth is, if only I would have gotten the help I needed then, it would have been really helpful. But I try to live with no regrets, right? It is what it is, and I didn't go to therapy. Um, I was very fortunate that I didn't make some of the mistakes that are really common. I married somebody that was so different from anyone in my family. My husband is very kind. He's very caring. He's not at all somebody who my family, my birth certificate father was sort of like, what's this? He's totally different from us.
Yeah,
And I thank God that I did marry somebody completely different than how I grew up, which is not always the case. So,
I did too.
yeah, yeah.
Very,
And
I got lucky.
I
I, I,
know, and
I
I
don't,
say,
I didn't know what I was doing. I had
yeah,
no idea what I was doing.
no credit to me. I'm just grateful that God led me to somebody who was different and that I had the wherewithal to say, I do want a different life. I knew back then I wanted something different. I remember as a young child laying in bed, the nights where my dad would be in a rage, and I would think to myself, someday I'll get out of this. Someday I'll live differently. Someday I will not have to lay in bed in fear for my life. And I'm so grateful that I've been able to, through the help of God, been able to do that and break the generational sin and the generational trauma in my family. My girls have a great relationship with their dad, and I am forever grateful for that they
Yeah,
did not grow up like I did.
yeah. You brought up another good point: intergenerational trauma.
Yes.
First of all, kudos to you for breaking the cycle.
Thank you. Yeah,
It's critical. It's
it is.
absolutely critical.
Yes.
And we'll never know how much of all that we actually did lay on our kids, but we know enough to know that we broke it in its current state.
Yep.
And I'm very transparent. We are very transparent with our children about our intergenerational trauma. I was going to say our childhoods, and I don't want to really. It's hard to do that because it lays the blame on top of everybody else. It really is intergenerational. I mean, it
Yes,
comes
it
down
is.
from somewhere. And we've been very transparent with our children to let them know, hey, we probably damaged you somehow, but first of all, for what we know we did, we're sorry, and for what we don't know we did that you won't know until later, we're sorry for that too. And
Right.
tried to tell them that if they have the right to come to us and discuss things with us. That's huge. That is absolutely huge. And I see, a lot of people, it takes a lot of awareness to do that, because some people think they're breaking from the cycle just by breaking from the family, but their break is toxic in itself,
Yes.
you know. And I get people say to me all the time that they I so I, I saw on social media the other day about someone who was talking about their narcissistic mother,
Hmm.
who stated that they faked their own death and had an obituary printed in their local newspaper just to get back at their mother.
Oh my word.
Now, my point for bringing this up is that this is a perfect example of what I was talking about.
Yeah.
This person is broken from the toxicity, but they haven't healed themselves. So whatever family they have, I fear, I don't know this for sure because I don't know this person, but I fear that they're still passing down the toxicity to their family because it's clear that they haven't been able to work through that. Because I I don't know what his mother did to him, but that's pretty awful. No matter, to fake your own death just to hurt someone. That, I mean, that's a level of that's a high level of manipulation in my opinion. And I don't have all the details, but
Right.
um, I just
But I
worry
do
that he
think,
hasn't healed. Go ahead.
yeah, because I do think that, for me, when the bottom fell out, right, when I found out about my NPE status, I began to ask God to help me walk back through my past trauma and see it as it really was, not as I created it, but help me see it fully. I felt like I've said, like, have you ever seen the movies where somebody's rummaging through an attic and, you know, they're upstairs in a filthy, dirty attic and their hair's a mess and it's hot and they're trying to find a file upstairs in the attic? You know, I said,
Yeah.
I feel like that's what happened to me, is that I was going back through all of my trauma and all of my conversations and just desperately looking for, what did I miss? How did I miss this? You know, because I want to walk fully in who I am and who God created me to be, not living lies, not, you know, trying to keep secrets, not, I just have to be able to journey through them and sort through them in a way that I can before I can just put them away peacefully, right? But I don't want to lie and I don't want to keep secrets. It's not healthy. I know that for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree with you. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you knew this, but I have I, I teach online courses, and my website, the name of my academy is the Life in Truth Academy,
Oh,
and it's dedicated to that awareness of opening your eyes from the facade. It's human nature. We live in this facade until we can't do it anymore. And
right.
it's what many addicts and alcoholics call a moment of clarity. Anyone who's been through trauma like you have, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There comes a point where you have to make a choice. It's
Yeah.
a whole red pill or blue pill analogy with the movie The Matrix.
Right. Right.
And I would much rather live in my truth, uh, and than in somebody's fantasy.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I can't
You
do it.
know, I'll say when, as I found out about my NPE and started walking through that and how to tell the family and should I reach out to the new family, and, you know, going through all of the things that we as NPEs carry a heavy weight and try to decide, nobody can make that decision for it. We have to make that ourselves, right? Do I want to reach out to the unknown family? How do I tell the rest of my known family? Um, I started having panic attacks. I was having nightmares of my birth certificate father chasing me. One nightmare, he was holding a gun to my head. I mean, they were traumatic. Um, and so I kept asking God, like, just, I want to be healed from this, right? I kept thinking, okay, what do I need to do? I need to read this book. I need to read this scripture, hear this song, have this conversation, say that prayer. You know what I mean? Even take that pill, right? Whatever I could do to stop it from happening. And the truth is, there wasn't one thing that healed me. I didn't have a miraculous day of, even when I went to Israel, I'll be honest and transparent. When I went to Israel, I thought, okay, I'm going to touch a stone that Jesus touched, right? And I'm going to be healed. And that isn't what happened. It was everything. It was that song. It was that book. It was that prayer. It was that conversation. The healing has been a journey for me. I'm still on it. And I hope that other NPEs understand that when you step into this, it's a journey and we have to do our work and we have to live with every decision we make. And I know that we are cautious and careful as we make them, but I wasn't healed overnight. I pleaded with God to heal me, and it didn't happen overnight. And what I understand now, it was through my healing that I learned so much about not only me, but how could I help somebody else who comes to me and says, and I've had one, I just took a DNA test and my dad's not my dad. And I've been able to help them and walk them through that, because there's no book for this, right? There's no, like, here's how you get healed in 10
No,
easy steps. it's it's a lot of work that needs to be done.
it is a lot of work. And the cliche, it's a journey, not a destination. It's a cliche, and it's overdone, but it's absolutely true.
Yeah,
You never get anywhere. You just get farther today than you were yesterday.
right.
For the most part, I mean, some days you go backwards, you know,
You do.
and which is another aspect of it. You have to mentally accept that. You have to be okay with it. That if you know if you went forward 3 steps and you went backward 2, you don't jump ahead 4. You go
Right.
ahead another one step. I mean, um, and part of doing the work, and I use the term "do the work" all the time, and part of doing the work is leveling up.
Yeah.
And to go back to what we were talking about at the beginning, you can't you can't level up too fast.
Mm-mm.
It becomes overwhelming. It becomes too much, like we were talking about in the beginning. You got to take your steps. You got to take it slow, and we should, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you should do some work, and then so an analogy. I used to live in Indiana, and we used to visit Florida all the time.
Hmm.
Every time we came to Florida, we drove as fast as we could down to Florida, stayed as long as we could, and drove as fast back as we could.
Yeah.
You know what I never did? I never got to see Northern Florida. I never got to see Georgia. I never got to see Tennessee. I never got to see Kentucky.
Right.
I never got
Right.
to see Southern Indiana because I didn't stop and pay attention to what was around me. I didn't, what is the phrase? Stop and smell the roses.
Yeah.
Here's trivia. Do you remember who sang that song?
No.
Uh,
What if I said it's before my time? I'm just kidding.
it was Mac Davis, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Boy, that's going way back.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't know. I'm not old enough to remember Mac Davis.
There you go. There you go.
But we did. We never paid attention, and that's also a key for trauma survivors. Just celebrate the moment. Look back and see where you came from. See how far you've come, and pat yourself on the back,
For
and thank
sure.
yourself. It's not constantly working forward.
And know that it's a journey. I mean, I'm honest. I pleaded with God to heal me because I was falling apart. I was falling apart like my family had never seen before. And I thought I didn't know how I was going to get out of it. I didn't know how I was going to regulate my brain again. And it was all of those things that I mentioned. And of course I was in therapy, and that was incredibly helpful. I would leave therapy and sit in my car and just weep. I would weep at how sad I was for my brothers and myself, just of what we had been through. It was a real realization for me that was almost validating or normalizing that what I went through was really hard. And I think I had managed to say it was no big deal. You know what I mean? I got through it.
Typical trauma survivor response, right there. It
Totally.
could have been worse.
Yes, and I mean, I'm like, well, I got out of it alive, didn't I? And, I would use all those phrases. And, I remember she shared with
There's
me.
truth to it. There's
Yeah,
absolute truth to it, but it
there
prevents us
is.
from really stopping and think, wow, I've been through a lot.
Yes. And she shared with me one time, we were talking about being hurt. And she said, we often treasure our hurts. And I was sort of like, what do you mean? And she said, well, when we've been hurt, we hold them very close to us because we're fearful that if we lay our hurt down in front of somebody and we say, this was one of my hurts, they would just sweep it off the table and say, no big deal. I've been through worse, right? And so instead, we actually treasure them and we hold them really close because we don't want people to do that to our hurts. And I remember thinking, I don't want to treasure my hurts. I want to treasure my family, right? My daughters. I want to treasure my grandson. I want to treasure good moments, not my hurts. And trusting that I can lay them down in front of God and He's not going to go, no big deal. You've been through nothing, right?
Yeah.
So there were moments like that in therapy that I would just get in my car and just weep in the realization that whatever, I treasure my hurts, right? I don't want to do that. So
Yeah.
working through how to deal with my hurts.